But these efforts are not enough, and they will only take effect when everyone on the Earth makes joint efforts. The establishment and development of eco-villages is one of the effective measures to resolve those crises. However, at present, eco-villages are scattering all over the world but have not yet formed a strong influential force, and the scale and pace of development is not strong enough to stop global climate worsening. In order to speed up the development of all eco-villages, I hereby appeal to global eco-villages that they unite into one big international family and use collective wisdom and energy to advance their development. In this time, when humanity faces common crises, it is important that all people elevate the common interests of humanity to the foremost position. All people must sacrifice the interests of their own countries, political parties, ethnic groups, religions, and personal interests to serve the higher interests of humanity. All eco-villages must give up their own interests and unite as one big international family. Only when we think of the sustainable development of human beings from a perspective of the world is one family, individual eco-villages will benefit and develop faster and more healthily, and all of humanity will benefit from it too. Now the second home, now new oasis for life, of Lifechanyuan in China and Kanahana family in Japan have united, which is the first gratifying step. It also proves that global eco-villages can transcend the differences of nations, cultures, and lifestyles and unite as one big family. As long as we hold love in our hearts, and as long as we love all humans, we love peace, the earth, and life, we will have the ability and wisdom to overcome all obstacles and difficulties. We will be able to form a big international family by uniting all eco-villages and create a new era of peace and harmony that is able to develop sustainably. This big international family can operate under the framework of the United Nations. I believe that the UN will be happy to accept and lead this international eco-village family and let it work and benefit for the interests of the entire humanity. The alliance of global eco-villages will have many benefits but no harms, and all people, including members of each eco-village, will benefit enormously. As for its formation and operation and how to overcome the differences of beliefs, cultures, lifestyles, and so on, I have a complete theory system which is sufficient to support and achieve this great ideal. The most critical issue now is that either we work together to solve the common crises of humanity and create a brand new era, or we sit and await our doom. Let us start to realize this ideal from a spiritual level first, then have representatives of all eco-villages meet to discuss the details. The best way would be for Jen to facilitate this project. Big disasters can happen anytime, and we do not know whether we will still be alive tomorrow. However, as long as there is a gleam of hope, we must never give up making efforts. Decades are too long, so let us seize today. I sincerely hope that eco-villages around the world will take my appeal seriously and propel the Perspective project in the most effective way, and complete the formation process of this project in the shortest time possible. Canada is like the Lifechanyuan international family. Siefeng. August 30th, 2020. What kind of country is Canada? From his foot, we can measure Achilles. I would like to share my recent experience in Canada for your consideration. Huang Celestial, my partner for many years, became ill on the morning of August 5th, so I called the emergency medical services. Half an hour later, an ambulance arrived at the Lifechanyuan international family in Lac La Hatch. Two first aid specialists carried her on a stretcher into an ambulance and quickly drove her to our local hospital at 100 Mile House, more than 30 kilometers away, where emergency treatment was begun. At 1 o'clock in the morning that night, our local hospital transferred her to the intensive care unit of the Royal Inland Hospital in Kamloops, more than 200 kilometers away, where general examinations and treatments were carried out and 24-hour care was provided. After a few days, Royal Inland sent her to Kelowna Hospital, another 200 kilometers away, where an operation was performed that same day. That night, Huang was sent back to Kamloops by ambulance, and on August 16th, they returned her to Kelowna Hospital once again. On August 17th, a very complicated double heart procedure was performed, and after the operation, she recovered there. On August 22nd, I brought Huang back to Lifechanyuan International Family. I did a rough calculation, and excluding the laboratory staff, more than 80 doctors and nurses from the 3 hospitals had been involved in her treatment. The efficiency of the hospitals was unimaginable. Every doctor and nurse was simply an angel on earth. That kind of concern, love, sense of responsibility, and care touch me to no end. Whenever the hospital heads, doctors, and nurses asked me if everything was okay or if I had any other needs, I always answered that she and I were fully satisfied, that there was not the slightest thing to find fault with, and that everyone was doing everything perfectly. For example, the doctor who performed her procedure described to me in detail what they would do before and after the operation, and after it had been completed, he called and told me that the operation was successful and everything went well, so that I could relax. The hospital's chefs prepared each meal specially according to the patient's condition, and each one came with a printed note that listed the specific food, the patient's name, the time, and some nutritional information. The attitudes of the doctors, nurses, and chefs were kind from beginning to end. Their tones of voices were gentle and warm, and every detail was arranged accurately. What is more moving was that when a Huang was sent from Kamloops to Kelowna Hospital, a doctor from the 100-mile house hospital drove for more than 3 hours to the hospital in Kamloops to accompany a Huang to the Kelowna Hospital and gave me his phone number to contact him at any time. I drove from Kamloops to the Kelowna Hospital, but since I took longer than the ambulance did, a nurse from the Kelowna Hospital called me twice to ask about my progress, and when I eventually arrived, she stood waiting for me at the entrance to the hospital and led me to the operating room immediately. Before leaving the hospital, a staff nurse asked for some details about our home, such as how many steps there were, whether we had stools for showering, and so forth. When I told her that we had none, she immediately contacted the Red Cross in my area to provide suitable equipment. When I returned home, I went straight there, and since they had been told everything well in advance, they could quickly go through the procedure for using the equipment safely with me. According to a knowledgeable person, our medical expenses would have come to nearly 2/3 of a million Canadian dollars, which is the equivalent of more than 3 million RMB yuan, but that the Canadian government bore all of our costs. We never paid a penny, not even for the ambulance rides before and after the operation. A Huang stayed in a single, private room filled with life-saving equipment from start to finish. This time I found that the bed was almost a cartoon transformer which could be adjusted to be high or low, and could be used as a bed or a recliner. On the device were a dozen buttons for a myriad of functions. One of them displayed the patient's weight while another translated between any of several languages. The nurse spoke to me in English, but the equipment in the bed translated it immediately into Mandarin when either a Huang or I spoke Mandarin. The device translated it directly into English, not only in text form, but also by voice. Every day, an average of between 7 and 8 doctors and nurses worked in a Huang's room. Every day, 4 to 6 infusion tubes supplied intravenous medications 24 hours each day. Blood, urine, and feces were all taken every day to be examined in laboratories. Videos of her heart were taken in which its workings could be seen clearly along with all of the internal organs, the bones, and especially the sternum area. An electrocardiogram image was prepared every day and video displays showed vital stats including the heart rate, blood pressure, and so forth. The doctors and nurses put their sanitary gloves and work clothes on whenever they entered her room and threw them into a dustbin as they left. Almost all the supplies were disposable, so you can imagine how expensive everything must have been. Were it not for Canada's medical technology, a Huang Celestial's life in this mortal world would have ended, and were it not for their medical insurance system, I would have gone bankrupt and would be living on the streets today. This time, the hospital staff told me that during the patient's stay, no relatives or friends would be allowed to accompany them because once they entered the hospital, everything became the hospital's responsibility, fortunately. I was allowed to enter the hospital to participate in various procedures only as a special case. From this, I understood why such a large hospital is so quiet and no miscellaneous personnel were hanging out, only doctors, nurses, and other necessary staff workers were there, no one else. The environment in the hospital was clean and spotless, and it had no discernible smells, not even those of alcohol or medicines. What was even more surprising to learn was that in Canadian hospitals, whether a patient is wealthy or a minimum wage worker, a government official or a poor farmer, all are treated the same. Doctors and nurses never provide special care to anyone, and there is never any need or even any opportunity to establish special relationships to go through a back door to be given a good bed or doctor, let alone to send red packets, cash bribes, to anyone. If a Canadian cannot take care of themselves when they become old and they do not have anyone to care for them, everything will be contracted by the Canadian government. Widows and the lonely need not worry about how they will survive. Once one reaches the age of 65, whether they live in a major city or on a farm, and whether they were a government worker or a private enterprise employee, they will receive a monthly pension of nearly 1,200 Canadian dollars, and the government will send a caretaker for anyone who requires help in taking care of themselves at home. By the way, one of our Celestials specializes in doing that kind of work. In addition, Canadian parents enjoy the Canada Child Tax Benefit, which is just over 600 Canadian dollars per month, until they reach the age of 18 years. The child of one of our Canadian Chanyuan Celestials is 13 years old this year, and they receive that amount each month. This is Canada. To anyone who thinks that Canada is a wicked capitalist country, you are wrong. In my opinion, Canada is a very communistic society and is in some ways similar to the Lifechanyuan style international family. During the 3 years that I have been running a small hotel here, I have felt absolutely zero racial discrimination from anyone, and no government agency, including any police department, has come to check on me. In perfect honesty, apart from seeing uniformed police patrolling the highways, I have never seen any law enforcement agency. Also, I have been driving on the highways for most of my more than 3 years here and have never been charged any tolls to use any of them. Having benefited so much from Canada, I feel a need to serve this wonderful country, so I have decided to build a home for 300 Chanyuan Celestials here so that our values and mode will take root, blossom, and bear fruit in order to add brilliance to this abundant, beautiful, just, free, spectacular, colorful, and great country. Oh Canada! Celebrating the 12th anniversary of Siefeng-style communism. Siefeng. April 18, 2021. On April 18, 2009, a group of Chanyuan Celestials gathered in Taiyuan City, Shaanxi Province, China, and began living the Siefeng-style communist lifestyle. Since then, 18 homes have been built in Kunming, Anning, Chuxiang, Linsong, Lijiang, Nanjing, Aksu, and Korla of Xinjiang, Canada, Thailand, and other places. The construction has lasted for a dozen years, has taken us across tens of thousands of kilometers, and has never stopped. Over the past 2,000 years, the Chinese nation has added few contributions to human civilization, either ideologically or scientifically and technologically. On the one hand, we enjoy the fruits of Western civilization, yet on the other, we belittle it. We are not grateful. It is like a beggar wearing fresh, new clothing and feeling that they have become aristocratic, but have instead only become ignorant, arrogant, non-virtuous, and barbarous. This AQ style of national pride is pitiful and pathetic. Only Siefeng-style communism can bring the Chinese nation into the ranks of human civilization. It would be the greatest contribution from China to human civilization and would surpass all the values of Western civilization to become a beacon that would shine on the progress of humankind. During the 4 dozen hot and cold seasons of spring, summer, autumn, and winter, this group of Chanyuan Celestials, striving for Siefeng-style communism, has suffered a multitude of hardships and humiliation. They were forced out of their picturesque homes which they had built with their own blood, sweat, and tears, and had to keep moving to different areas throughout China. They were reborn from their old ruins again and again. Many Chanyuan Celestials fell and left Lifechanyuan along the way. The road to civilization was difficult and dangerous. Barbarism shrouded the clear sky like sandstorms and flooded over the dams of civilization again and again. Ever since the first emperor of the Qin dynasty burned books and buried Confucian scholars alive, the backbone of the Chinese nation has been broken, the kingdom of God has become godless, and the other leaders were either big or small tyrants or submissive slaves to colonizers. The suppression of new ideas has become the main theme of the Chinese nation. Chanyuan Celestials have not been intimidated by these difficulties. In this age of material desires and moral corruption, they have always stuck to their beliefs and the bottom line of civilization. Over the past dozen years, no Chanyuan Celestials have committed any crimes, and no harm has been done to human society or to nature. Only their quality of truth, kindness, Beauty, love, honesty, and peace flickers in the dark sky. We will neither beg pitifully for a green light nor give up our dignity to ask for anyone's help. We cannot gamble on the chance that people might have consciences. We know that there will be wolves, tigers, leopards, turbulent rivers, treacherous shoals, and even cliffs along our road ahead. But they have not, do not, and will not ever frighten us because we have already left life and death out of our consideration. Even if we must eat stale bread with impure water, dress in rags, we will continue to move forward in a natural and unrestrained way. If people do not change their traditional modes of production and life, they will face endless bitterness. The Western capitalist system has proven itself to be no more helpful, and the so-called socialism can only prolong its last gasp. Relying on any existing religious or political party doctrines will never bring people into the era of the talented will be put to good use and the whole world will be one family. No one will pocket anything found on the ground, and doors will not be bolted at night. And where people live and work happily, peacefully, and contentedly. Any thinkers, philosophers, sociologists, or so-called practitioners who fail to think about practicing Siefeng-style communism are merely self-sentimental groans, nonsensical affairs, thoughtless works and actions, and patches on old clothes. Any of them who do not understand the space and time of the universe, the truth of life, how Tao works, and the ways and laws of nature, are blind and incapable and will lead you into fire pits. The prelude to the great adjustment of life in the universe is underway. The plot will become more and more sudden and violent, and no one will be able to resist it. Just as when the plague god makes people around the world wear masks at the same time, presidents all have to wear them obediently, not to mention ordinary people. May people sublimate into Siefeng-style communism as soon as possible. It is the only Noah's Ark of our era. Chanyuan Celestial Application. If you have studied the contents of our website and would like to join us and become a Chanyuan Celestial, please feel free to send your application to info@lifechanyuan.org. The applicant should include the following information: an introduction about yourself, why you want to become a Chanyuan Celestial, a recent photo of yourself. Please note that you must meet the following requirements to be considered. You are single or divorced. You are under 60 years of age. You are physically healthy. You are socially free and have few ties to secular society. Chanyuan come from spiritual mountain and are born by heaven. All of them will return to spiritual mountain at last. Chanyuan Celestial is the nurse of the greatest creator, is the angel coming down from the upper world to the mortal world, and everyone bears the holy mission of initiating Lifechanyuan era. With their bodies in the mortal world and heart in the celestial beings world, Chanyuan Celestials are out of the ordinary. The number of Chanyuan Celestial covers about 1% of the total human population. This means there are about 63 million Chanyuan Celestials around the world. The definite numbers in different races are as following. The number of Chanyuan Celestials in the white race covers about 2% of its total population. The number of Chanyuan Celestials in the black people and Muslim people covers about 1%. The number of Chanyuan Celestials in the yellow race covers about 1 in 1,000. Among which Japanese covers about 5 in 1,000, and the population cultivated by Chinese culture covers less than 1 in 1,000 among the total race. Each Chanyuan Celestial is a component of the whole Lifechanyuan. There is not any jealousy, envy, or hatred among Chanyuan Celestials, but only love. There are not any concepts of families, nationalities, countries, religions, and political parties, but only the scenes of the 1,000-year world, the 10,000-year world, and the Elysium world in the depth of Chanyuan Celestial's soul. Chanyuan Celestial does not pursue sufferings and tortures, but joys and happiness. Chanyuan Celestial does not pursue exceptional functions, but the sublimation of life. Chanyuan Celestial is innocent and pure as crystal, stiff and hard as diamond, powerful and flexible as the flowing water, flexible as the twigs and branches of the spring willow. Chanyuan Celestial is sincere, faithful, broad and level, modest, warm, unconstrained, industrious, and valiant. Chanyuan Celestial does not like solitary life, but prefer group life, does not like disorderly chaos, but orderly jollification. Chanyuan Celestial possesses a simple, kind, elegant, and tranquil heart, so as to deal with people like a child. Chanyuan Celestial owns a deep, broad, profound mind so as to get along with people like a saint. Chanyuan Celestial possesses the academician style of Lifechanyuan. Chanyuan Celestial respects and reveres Jesus, Sakyamuni, Muhammad, and Lao Tzu. The real Christians, Buddhists, Muslims, and Taoists are all Chanyuan Celestials. Chanyuan Celestial has telegnosis and at least is a sage in classification of population and ranks the first 5 in the 18 classifications of human life. Chanyuan Celestial has entered into the non-form thinking state and possesses the abnormal thinking ability. All Chanyuan Celestials are equal in human dignity, without any discrimination. The words and deeds of all Chanyuan Celestials are not driven by the worldly desires but by their own souls. The criterion used by Chanyuan Celestial to measure truth, goodness, beauty, and faking, evil, ugliness is not to follow the moral norms but depend on one's own cognition on Tao. So, in the profane eyes, Chanyuan Celestial is not a bad guy, neither a good guy, nor a kind guy. Chanyuan Celestial follows the code of ethics which are different from the public moral norms. It is not the constitutions, laws, rules, regulations promulgated by human society, but the way of the greatest creator that constrains and controls Chanyuan Celestial. On the basis of obeying the basic moral principles, everything works on the whole universe fairly and selflessly in spite of race and ages. The relationship between male Chanyuan Celestial and female is the lover relationship. The relationship between the female Chanyuan Celestials is sister relationship, and the relationship between male Chanyuan Celestials is brother relationship. Chanyuan Celestial possesses the communism thought. Facing dangers and pressure, Chanyuan Celestial will remain calm. Facing the worldly temptation, Chanyuan Celestial remains unmoved. Facing the willful provocation and intentional insult, Chanyuan Celestial reacts to it according to one's own feeling and bravely fight against it under the pressure. Facing praise and eulogy, Chanyuan Celestial is grateful, humble, cautious, and always likes to admit mistakes and attribute glory to the greatest creator. Chanyuan Celestial understands the ways of keeping good health and the secret of life. Chanyuan Celestial is thankful to the greatest creator, life, and nature. Chanyuan Celestial reveres the greatest creator, life, and nature. Lifechanyuan is the only homeland for the soul and spirit of Chanyuan Celestial. All Chanyuan Celestials are aspiring for land of idyllic beauty and willing to devote their intelligence and wisdom for creating one's own land of idyllic beauty. Note: this article is just a draft, which can be modified or implemented by Chanyuan Celestials. Chanyuan Celestials are different. CFing. September 16, 2021. Chanyuan Celestials are not different from the common people in appearance. Through the experience of living in the second home, Chanyuan Celestials know that people can live in a way that is totally different from the traditional model, which is unknown to the public. Having lived in the second home, they know that the 1,000-year world of the heavenly kingdom really exists, and thus their confidence in going to the kingdom of heaven is firm, and their actions are self-conscious. Chanyuan Celestials have personally experienced the state of a true communist society, which is unknown to the general public. Chanyuan Celestials know that even without a constitution, laws, regulations, agreements, and contracts, humans can make the order of production and life more ideal by relying on values, which is unknown to the general public. Chanyuan Celestials can achieve everything by owning nothing, which is completely beyond the comprehension of the general public. Chanyuan Celestials do not covet money, power, fame, profit, or sex, but live purely for ideals, which is beyond the comprehension of the general public. Chanyuan Celestials do not get married, do not form a family, and do not establish a special relationship with anyone. This is not understandable to ordinary people and is difficult for most people to do. Chanyuan Celestials do not compete with others, do not argue, and do not squabble, which is beyond the comprehension of the general public. Chanyuan Celestials do not do good or bad things, but only do angelic things according to the way of nature, which most people cannot understand. Chanyuan Celestials are not good people or bad people, but angels, which is beyond the understanding of the general public. Chanyuan Celestials have no country in their heart, so they will not love their country, let alone dedicate themselves to their country. Wherever they can live, work, and live freely, that is the place that they love. Chanyuan celestials can share everything with each other. Where there are 3 Chanyuan celestials, there is a home of Chanyuan celestials, which is beyond the comprehension of the general public. Chanyuan celestials do not live in fixed location, and they do not have travel plans. They take things as they are, associate with others by following predestined relations, act in accordance with nature, and take advantage of opportunities as they arise. The general public cannot do this. In the face of death, Chanyuan celestials will welcome death with a smile. This attitude is not possessed by the general public. Chanyuan celestials know what they are doing, where they are heading, and the end results of doing so, but all other living beings are confused about this attitude. Chanyuan celestials do not assume responsibility and obligation for anyone, and do not promise anything to others. They only live according to their nature, which is beyond the understanding of most people. Chanyuan celestials focus their love on the celestial island's continent, and will not pour love on a certain person, which is impossible for both ordinary people and sages to do. Chanyuan celestials have a tour guide to lead the way. Does the general public have this? There are many more points that can be cited. Just the differences in the above 18 points will show that Chanyuan celestials are different, and different groups of people have different destinations. Fushu You Zhansheng, Ko Gonghan. Chanyuan celestials are water bamboo people. Xiefeng. December 2nd, 2020. Anyone who has grown water bamboos knows how little they demand. As long as they have some water, they will always be lush and green. After more than 10 years of baptizing Chanyuan celestials, they have all become water bamboo people. They demand very little, and as long as they have thatched huts, bread, and water, they can live with vigor and vitality and have fun playing games and creating exquisite soul wealth, spiritual wealth, and material wealth. The cost of associating with Chanyuan celestials is very low. You can maintain close and friendly relationships with them at little cost because they expect little from you. They are like wild flowers, requiring no special nutrition or care. Whether you look at them or not, they will still bloom their flowers and green leaves brilliantly and bring beauty to nature. Chanyuan celestials absorb only a little bit of water, but what they pay back are milk and blood. For more than 10 years, Chanyuan celestial have been selflessly paying and dedicating every day, every month, and every year, creating more than a dozen picturesque Xanadus for Chinese websites, for English websites, and 6 WeChat public accounts. This is all the crystallization of sweat and hard work. They are all paying and dedicating, but they never care about their personal gains and losses, nor do they get dispirited due to the harsh conditions and suffering of setbacks. They are so much like water bamboos. Huangtian Celestial once said that Chanyuan celestials who live in Lifechanyuan are the purest water bamboo people among humans. They are so sincere that they do not belong to this world. They need the least sunlight and water to dedicate the most vivid green color, the most elegant charm, and the quietest and most tasteful feelings. He was so right. I am ignorant. I do not know how many people in this world are like Chanyuan celestials, but I can say for sure that this group has the best qualities, and they are the purest and most selfless, the humblest and the richest in meaning, and with the highest state of nobility, because they are all water bamboo people. If you have never met any angels, Buddhas, bodhisattvas, or celestial beings, then you should go meet some Chanyuan celestials to know what they are like. If they cannot go to heaven, then no one else can either. Chenman Shina Shin Shridai Yisik. Comprehensively absorb new era values. Dayform Buddha. March 20th, 2007. New era value presents us a broad prospect of spiritual and physical world. Staring from Seth, then Oren, The Law of One, Cryon, Wingmakers by Huzi, series articles by Chinkuan Buddha, Conversations with God, Disappearance of the Universe, and so on to A Course in Miracles. New era value is an enormous and complicated system. It inherits, protects, and develops almost all wisdoms of sages and saints. The field it spans from science, philosophy, psychology, biology, noology, urinology, parapsychology, pathology, space theory, religion theory, theory of universe creation, and theory of life origin to the Christ. Lao Tzu, Tao Te Ching, and supreme masters in India, such as Osho, Bhagwan, and Krishnamurti, etc. It was almost all-inclusive and unusual brilliant, laid a good foundation for human beings into a new stage. The human species is changing. The human beings in Lifechanyuan era will not be the same today. It is an inevitability of history and the evolution of human race to eliminate and purify human being who will step from physical state into spirit and soul state. Their survival will not merely depend on material things, rather depend more on energy of spirit and soul. Lifechanyuan consciousness refers to the new era value. What mentioned above are the foundation and organic parts of Lifechanyuan value. Lifechanyuan will link the multitude pearls together by the string of following the path of the greatest creator and make them into one so as to provide a bright way for the progression and development of human society. Comprehensively absorb new era values is a strategy for Lifechanyuan to carry out the policy of all-in-one. By discarding the dregs and selecting the essence, Lifechanyuan will embrace the new era by presenting a harmonious, peaceful, and joyful picture scroll to humankind and fundamentally changing the environment of human life. Network as tremendous energy storage of resources was born for the new era. Its significance and value are far beyond the total value of coal, oil, and mineral resources on Earth, even exceed the amount of energy provided the sun. Make full use of the resources and energy provided by internet is a definite way for new era human beings. Everything should be developed according to the principle of minimum drag. Internet is much more rapid, economical, and convenient than any form of sermon and communication. So, the old pattern for spreading religion, such as writing by hand, will be replaced by the internet. There will be no future for clinging strongly to tradition, and conservativeness will be destroyed by the trend of the times. The only way out is to accept the new era value in order to step into the new era of Lifechanyuan. New era value mainly include: the universe consists of three elements: consciousness, energy, and structure. The whole universe is a great consciousness, and the great consciousness refers to the greatest creator. Every life and universe is a part of the consciousnesses of the greatest creator. Material world is the embodiment of consciousness. An individual world of life is a reflection of self-consciousness. As long as the consciousness exists, the soul will exist forever. The carrier of soul will vary with consciousness. Human beings have infinite creative ability and developmental potentials. Lifetime is just a brief trip for life, and the meaning of life lies in its process. Your destiny is created by yourself, so you should be responsible for it, and stop complaining others. There is no conflict in pursuing of health, richness, freedom, and the promotion of spiritual nature. Humanity should move with nature rather than being oppressed. The core of improving the spiritual nature should focus on deepening the understanding, changing the thinking, perfecting the consciousness, and the non-material structure of life rather than on pursing the wizardry and extrasensory perception. Everything is Zen. Everything is apocalypse. The secrets of the universe and life are hidden in the ever-changing natural phenomenon. The nature of the greatest creator is sex, love, and Tao. Following the principle and theory of sex, love, and Tao is to believe in the greatest creator. The greatest creator and other gods do not bring the soul to trial. 36-dimensional space is the model of the universe which has channels, space tunnel. Past, present, and future are closely linked together through the time tunnel, and all of them can be changed. There is no such a thing which is changeless. The principle of change is the change of consciousness. When consciousness changes, everything will change accordingly. Love is able to purify our heart, perfect the non-material structure of our life, and has the quality of angel. So we should learn to love, not only love ourselves, but also love other people and society, the greatest creator, God and Buddha, nature and life. The key to happiness is to offer our love, release our love, always feel gratitude, and strive to create. The world we could perceive by sense organs is narrow and small. You should break the shackles, shift into a larger space, open your telegnosis, and see your true nature. New era value admits telepathy, but do not believe it blindly. Everything should be tested by science, truth, logic, and spiritual nature. In most cases, our soul is in a state of sleeping. The real world we believe is actually a fantasy land. Because of the habitual thinking, we are unable to realize that we are in fantasy land. New era value requires us to wake up from the dead sleep and enter into a relatively realistic reality, enjoy much freer, comfortable life, and live without fear. All diseases are reflections of the defective spirit and mind. You must make great efforts in consciousness and pay more attention on life structure in order to cure it thoroughly. Qualitative change requires the accumulation of quantitative change. Qualitative change will surely occur if the quantitative change is accumulated to a critical point. This principle is applicable to self-improvement. When self-improvement is accumulated to a certain degree, his life will be alienated, and he will become a celestial, Buddha, or God. While the core of self-improvement is to accumulate merits, the core of self-refinement is to change thinking, make transition from matter thinking to visualize thinking, associative thinking, elusive thinking, hard image thinking, Taiji thinking, non-form thinking, and holographic order thinking. In universe, everything is necessity except for one contingency, which is the way how Tao operates. Therefore, please never assume that you are lucky in gaining by fraud, for the result of cheating others and the gods is to cheat yourself. It is the same as by doing harm to others in nature, you will ultimately hurt yourself. The above is a part of the core ideas of New Era value. New Era is coming. All of those people who don't want to die should come closer to New Era value. All those people who are dreaming of free life in heaven should get their outdated value replaced by the New Era value. The world is developing rapidly. It is time to embark the spaceship, no more the slow carriage. Let's meet in the Lifechanyuan era. Confessions of Lifechanyuan. Everyone is equal before the greatest creator. Xiefeng and Xianhe Celestial. The psychic energy of the greatest creator is Tao, and it treats everyone and everything equally, without giving preference to any individuals or species. Whether individuals succeed in their careers, whether families are harmonious and happy, whether countries are prosperous, and whether people are peaceful and tranquil, all depend on whether we follow Tao's operation. If one follows it, they will prosper, otherwise they will perish. Blessing or bane, it is all up to them. There are no gates to fortune or misfortune. Your karma is yours. Lifechanyuan was born at the end of the 5th year of the sun and is the last call from gods and Buddhas to people. Lifechanyuan believes that the greatest creator dominates the universe, that gods and Buddhas are messengers of the greatest creator, and that humans are these gods and Buddhas' favorite children. The universe and life are one. They coexist, and neither can exist without the other. The greatest creator has laid out 36 mazes throughout the vast universe, and everyone's life can have an infinitely beautiful future. Innocent Christians have the 1,000-year world, Taoists with high morals have the 10,000-year world, and Buddhists who reach the non-form state can enter into the Elysium world directly. Whether one can enter the upper life space or not depends on whether they can decode the greatest creator's mazes. The differences between people does not lie in their levels of status and wealth, but in their spiritual purity. The greater their purity, the truer their belief and the more developed their thinking will be. The lesser their purity, the falser their belief and the more obsessed their thinking will be. In human society, the spirituality of celestial beings, saints, sages, and philosophers is pure and high, and they are the people with the greatest wisdom. People have to possess 3 minimum conditions to survive in this world. To love the greatest creator, to love nature, to love each other. Without these 3 conditions, people are not qualified to live in the homeland created by the greatest creator. Lifechanyuan believes firmly that most people are currently clinging onto the edge of a cliff and may fall into an abyss at any unguarded moment. These people need to understand their purpose for existing on the earth, where they are from, and where they want to go. It took billions of years for the greatest creator, gods, and Buddhas to create such a beautiful homeland for us. And since then, there have been many people and civilizations on the earth. However, since people have succeeded in making this homeland filthy in just a few thousand years, the greatest creator has sent messengers to us in order to enlighten us repeatedly, but most people are still obsessive and ignorant of the greatest creator. People's wisdom was originally sufficient to manage themselves. However, more and more people have become ignorant of the greatest creator, lost their connections with nature, and made a mess of our world. More than that, people have adopted hostile attitudes toward each other, fought with each other, and even killed each other. They fight covertly and overtly even among brothers and colleagues and classmates, husbands and wives, and parents and children. Current human civilization is heading for destruction. It is necessary for them to reflect thoroughly on their future. Lifechanyuan has sounded the alarm for humankind in a way that is a lively concerto for some but a death dirge for others. Whether one hears light music or mourning depends entirely on their spirituality. Lifechanyuan also believes that no natural or ecological disasters are caused by the greatest creator, gods, or Buddhas, but rather by people's bad consciousnesses and conduct. The illnesses of people's bodies are not caused by nature, but by the imperfections of their minds and spirits. The problems of ecological collapses are not simply systemic, but also problems of humanity and spirituality. The many dilemmas and natural and man-made disasters that humankind currently faces can only be understood from the perspective of humanity and spirituality. There are differences in spirituality among people. The deeper their involvement in secular society becomes, the easier it is for their spirituality to be deceived. One can easily go astray if they practice blindly instead of following the great Tao. Lifechanyuan is the spiritual homeland of human beings. It comes to the world with the heart of Christ and Bodhisattva and the great love and compassion of the greatest creator, gods, and Buddhas in order to spread the way of the greatest creator. This homeland contains the wisdom of mankind, spreads its hope, and is willing to become the mind relay station for everyone, leading to a beautiful future. Lifechanyuan also purports that people are currently faced many insoluble puzzles of life and the universe. Neither science nor religion can provide anyone have both spiritual perception and rationality. These are people of great wisdom who understand that the microworld and the macro-universe each lead to each other. The acmes of the microworld exist neither in the form of elementary particles nor in those of strings or superstrings, but operate in the form of the non-material. Therefore, they are people who can perceive the greatest creator in the depths of the microworld. As a result, in the human world, only celestial beings, saints, sages, and wise people know both the source of life and the ocean to where it flows. Lifechanyuan believes that autocratic dictatorships are disastrous for civil society, but that liberal democracies are not cure-alls either. It is only by following the way of the greatest creator that people can bid farewell to hunger, illness, plagues, crime, natural disasters, violence, and wars, and ensure forever that mankind will move toward natural harmony, peace, freedom, health, and happiness. It is only this system that can see that mankind manages themselves and the existing planet which they depend on well, including the Earth's environment and all lives on it, and to realize the harmony among people and between people and nature in order to know that we will all have bright futures. Lifechanyuan believes that everyone's present is caused by their past, and it will only be when we understand this that we will enjoy peace and wisdom. We'll stop blaming heaven and earth, society, and others, and will find directions to the right path. In order to have beautiful and happy futures, we need to think calmly and never vent hatred without any reason or show ignorance and shallowness for the sake of temporary gains, losses, self-interests, and grievances. In order for people to enjoy beautiful and happy futures, we need to build true faith. Side. All roots of evil and illness today are the results of our lacking real faith. We have yet to establish the highest of all goals, the highest of all principles, the highest of all faiths, or the ultimate of all standards. Without an ultimate goal, how do we choose any specific way of life? Without a highest principle, how do we set up a specific principle and stick to it without turning back? Without a highest belief and an ultimate standard, how do we judge, think, and act? Without any of these, how could our lives not be blind, empty, and absurd? For a happy future, we need to cast a new kind of humanity. D.H. Lawrence advocated. In order to survive, we need to work together to integrate all human cognitions into a whole. We must work hard to combine all knowledge and all languages into a huge and refreshing symphony. All humanity must be cast into the furnace so as to obtain a new humanity, remembering that our collective needs are not personal ones, not the needs of any of us. What we need is not the honor or self-satisfaction, but a huge driving force of one mind from which we can create a great society and a free nation that includes individual freedoms. Individuals cannot create new nations. Those things depend on all of us. To achieve this goal, we must join hands and work together. At that time, more people will use their hands to break free from their shackles until all their chains are broken. In order for humankind to have a beautiful and happy future, we must give up our prejudices and obsessions, extinguish our flames of jealousy, selfishness, anger, and hatred, and illuminate the beacons of sincerity, bravery, benevolence, and generosity in our hearts. We must open our minds, escape from our fogs, make new friends, accommodate new consciousnesses, spread new ideas, and embrace new lives. Lifechanyuan believes that people are on the eve of a great change, unseen in 1,000 years, an era of turmoil, one of great changes and great transitions, one calling for sages and wise people, and one of exploring and pursuing infinite space and time. The clouds in the sky do not come from nowhere, and Lifechanyuan has not come from nothingness. The birth of Lifechanyuan is a demonstration of the universe's mysteries and secrets and is an inevitable development of spirituality and wisdom. People must believe in the greatest creator, revere gods and Buddha, and respect all life, whether they be celestial beings, saints, sages, wise persons, ordinary laity, dull persons, emperors, commoners, those who are elite or popular, whether they are rich, poor, Christian, Buddhist, Muslim, Taoist, Jehovah's Witness, Falun Gong, Krishna Consciousness Movement, Communist Party members, free people or prisoners, people or livestock, birds, animals, fish, insects, flowers, plants, or whatever, they must all be respected and cherished. The great contour is shapeless, and the supreme wisdom is boundless. Without supreme wisdom, one cannot understand the way of the greatest creator. Lifechanyuan hopes that all celestial beings, saints, sages, and wise people in the mortal world will experience the profundity of the way of the greatest creator, have a home in Lifechanyuan, and use their spirituality and wisdom to pull everyone out of the sea of suffering to reach the far-off shore of salvation. Lifechanyuan hopes that every disciple who seeks the greatest creator, believes in Christ, and admires gods, Buddhas, celestial beings, and Taoists, whether they are Christians, Buddhists, Muslims, Taoists, Jehovah's Witnesses, the Falun Gong, members of Krishna Consciousness Movement, or others, can obtain enlightenment and new life from Lifechanyuan. Those who are busy all day long for career and life, whether you are exalted as a king or low as a commoner, wealthy or poor, highly talented or illiterate, a celebrity, an official, a white-collar worker, a wandering migrant worker, a communist, a democratic patriot, a free man, or a prisoner of sin, the greatest creator cares about you and watches you. Since before 2013, the doors of Lifechanyuan have remained open to you at all times, and we look forward to your arrival at any time. May you open your hearts before the greatest creator, gods, and Buddha, that you might receive enlightenment and gain new life from Lifechanyuan. May the greatest creator grant psychic energy to you, and may gods and Buddha bless you. The greatest creator resides with us, and gods and Buddha rest within us. Let us walk together with the wise and run into a future that is full of vitality, freedom, peace, harmony, and beauty, yet still mysterious. Guojia Zheng Shao Su, Lun Shengming, countries will disappear, on Lifechanyuan era 2. Dayform Celestial. September 20th, 2006. The existence of country is the disaster for all people. Human beings can never share the peace as long as countries exist. The earth does not belong to any countries or any nationality, but all people. The affairs of the earth belong to all people, which should not be governed by the disunited regional regimes, but governed unitarily by a global government. The existence of countries not only waste a large quantity of manpower and material resources, but threaten the balance of natural ecology and the life of all human beings, which not only hinder the timely spread and communication of civilization, but also constrain the development of most valuable intelligence resources on the earth. If there is only one government on the earth, the only one item of canceling military expenditure can bring enormous welfare to humans. let alone the disappearance of the huge expenditure of government administrative personnel and the antagonism and war among different countries. In order to explain the significance of the disappearance of countries, we will show the evil consequence of the existence of countries only by the military expenditure of various countries. You may check and verify if there are any mistakes in the data. Thank you. The military expenditures of various countries in 2005 are as follows. All data coming from Report CDI of U.S. United States $399.1 billion, unit, billion dollars. Russia $65.0 billion, unit, billion dollars. China $47.0 billion, unit, billion dollars. Japan $42.6 billion, unit, billion dollars. United Kingdom $38.4 billion, unit, billion dollars. France $29.5 billion, unit, billion dollars. Germany $24.9 billion, unit, billion dollars. Saudi Arabia $21.3 billion, unit, billion dollars. Italy $19.4 billion, unit, billion dollars. India $15.6 billion, unit, billion dollars. South Korea $14.1 billion, unit, billion dollars. Brazil $10.5 billion, unit, billion dollars. Israel $9.4 billion, unit, billion dollars. Spain $8.4 billion, unit, billion dollars. Australia $7.6 billion, unit, billion dollars. Canada $7.6 billion, unit, billion dollars. Taiwan $7.0 billion, unit, billion dollars. Netherlands $6.6 billion, unit, billion dollars. Turkey $5.8 billion, unit, billion dollars. Singapore $4.8 billion, unit, billion dollars. Sweden $4.5 billion, unit, billion dollars. Iran $4.1 billion, unit, billion dollars. Kuwait $3.9 billion, unit, billion dollars. Norway $3.8 billion, unit, billion dollars. Norway $3.8 billion, unit, billion dollars. Poland $3.5 billion, unit, billion dollars. Argentina $3.3 billion, unit, billion dollars. United Arab Emirates $3.1 billion, unit, billion dollars. Egypt $3.0 billion, unit, billion dollars. Belgium $2.7 billion, unit, billion dollars. Pakistan $2.6 billion, unit, billion dollars. Denmark $2.4 billion, unit, billion dollars. Vietnam $2.4 billion, unit, billion dollars. Colombia $1.7 billion, unit, billion dollars. Czech Republic $1.6 billion, unit, billion dollars. Iraq $1.4 billion, unit, billion dollars. North Korea $1.4 billion, unit, billion dollars. Philippines $1.4 billion, unit, billion dollars. Portugal $1.3 billion, unit, billion dollars. Libya $1.2 billion, unit, billion dollars. Hungary $1.1 billion, unit, billion dollars. Syria $1.0 billion, unit, billion dollars. Cuba $0.8 billion, unit, billion dollars. Sudan $0.6 billion, unit, billion dollars. Yugoslavia $0.7 billion, unit, billion dollars. Luxembourg $0.2 billion, unit, billion dollars. Above data are just the military expenditures of the major 46 countries around the world in 2005. Its total amount has reached to $828.6 billion. Per capita reaches to $128 for 6.5 billion people. In case of 1.3 billion Chinese people, per capita reaches to $637, which equal to 5,000 renminbi. In other words, every one of the 1.3 Chinese people, including fools and babies, has to pay 5,000 renminbi, and only in this way we can afford the global military expenditure just for 1 year. Or rather, half per capita income of Chinese people or all per capita income of Indian people just can afford the global military expenditure. Based on the gross national income and per capita income published by the World Bank in July 2005, the per capita income of Chinese people is $1,290. The per capita income of Indian people is $620. What does the military expenditure work for? Extremely or exaggeratingly speaking, it is used for killing. Are humans reasonable? No, they are not. If countries don't disappear, can humans enter into the peaceful and happy era? No, absolutely not. Lifechanyuan era will be like this. There is only one government in the world. Policies of this government will be suitable for all people, and all constitutions and laws of various countries will lose efficacy. There is only police, no armies. All the weapons used for killing will be destroyed. All the extra agencies such as immigration office, embassy and customs will be canceled, and the boundaries among different countries will completely disappear. People can go anywhere freely. People will share all resources. Government will not interfere with changes in ideological realm, but only be responsible for the administrative affairs. Lifechanyuan will not interfere with the administrative affairs, but only be responsible for the changes of ideological realm. Education and medical treatment are all free. The limited private ownership will be protected. All alimony and funeral fee of the aged people will be arranged unitarily by society. The minimum of subsistence of citizens should be safeguarded. Is this an illusion? No, it is not. You will see when you finish reading them all. Create a rational, peaceful, humanistic era. Dayform Buddha. August 29, 2004. From 2988 BC to 2012 AD is a cycle of life and universe. At the end of the circle, the supreme-level life space, mortal world, and low-level life space need to be adjusted because of the equilibrium of their life amounts are in critical point. Take mortal world as an example, because the amounts of animals decline sharply and are disproportionate with the amounts of human beings, lots of people have to return to the animal world. In the same way, during hundreds of years, the celestials coming from the superworlds to fulfill their mission have to return to superworlds, non-material structure possessing the standards of inferno, frozen layer and inflamed layer must be thrown into the hell, and the one who have achieved the perfect human nature standard have to get into the 1,000-year world, have achieved Tao have to get into the 10,000-year world, and those who have achieved Buddha have to get into Elysium world. For those who are reaching the perfect human natures, yet still unperfect, will be left in human world to reproduce and develop. From the time Lifechanyuan appears on the planet and in the man's world, the heaven world will successively dispatch some celestials, angels, to the world to help those remaining in mortal world to experience a hard time. The celestials will not show up extraterrestrial or other visible forms, but will attach to human being's body to perform its program of balancing the life and universe in the form of the psychic energy. I don't know whose body think of a mortal thing. The talented and wisdom men in Lifechanyuan should be prepared psychologically. Listen attentively to the guidance of your souls. Be ready to be unified with celestials from super worlds at all times. If we know the honored guests are coming, we should make a thorough cleaning in and out, light incense, eliminate dirty air, and wait for their arrivals. Guidance from psychic energy should never be suppressed by the rational values. We should realize that the values we keep may be functionless and totally wrong. We should try our best to be in the unconsciousness state. We'd better make a thorough formatting to our knowledge, experiences, values, and mode of thinking, reinstall the psychic energy from the source of life, remold ourselves thoroughly, and be a useful member in the new era after 2013. Along with the constant understanding on the mystery of the universe and the true meaning of the life in Lifechanyuan, someday, you will experience an indescribable passion and impulse. Sense the mystery calling from the celestial beings. Realize that you are not an ugly duckling, but a white swan, just like awakened suddenly from a dream. Once this sign occurs, it proves that your heart is connecting with the psychic energy from the resource of life, and celestials are attached to your body. You can do whatever according to the guidance of the psychic energy. One thing needs to be cautious is, no matter in the past time, nowadays and future, there are lots of people who are attached by devils, will confuse all living creatures and content against Lifechanyuan. But these devils led by Satan are not heterodox doctrines. They are also performing and maintaining the balancing program of the life in the universe. If Satan and his fellows don't create obstacles and troubles in mortal world, and don't strive to lead parts of people into the lower bound, and nobody wants to reincarnate to animal, but wants to go to the super worlds or stay in mortal world, the universe will collapse. Just like a person split into two halves, if one half is dead, the other part is unable to exist. To the life in universe, both Jesus and Satan are important. It is a unity of opposites. Mankind's view of Satan as their enemy and a devil of swallowing life are an extreme misunderstanding and injustice. In fact, Satan is truthfully fulfilling his duty. Satan and his fellows have to try every way they know to prevent all human beings going to super worlds. For example, money, beauties, power, status, pleasure, fame, exceptional function, and religion conflict, and so on. It is like the policemen who hold the door of the conference hall and prevent the swarming crowd. Why does Dayform Buddha only call for 2% people? 2% of human population is 130 million, and these people will be left in the planet to create a rational, peaceful, and humanistic era. Maybe Dayform Buddha will be scolded as heterodox doctrines and ignoring other 98% people. In fact, Buddha coming from the greatest creator doesn't ignore other people, but other people refuse to be taken care of. Accept Shui Feng's inner strength. Everything in Lifechanyuan is presented clearly. Who will believe in Shui Feng's values except for a few sages with spiritual nature? Will communist, Christian, Buddhist, democratic personages, or members of Falun Gong practitioners believe this? No, they won't. Of course, better not. If the number is over 2%, Lifechanyuan will be out of order. Jesus has declared that everything should use parables, which is hard to understand to those who are going to be thrown into hell. However, if they can understand, they will not go to the hell. And if the hell is empty, the balanced heaven can't exist. Celestial being Lao Tzu sighed. My words are very easy to know and very easy to practice, but there is no one in the world who is able to know and able to practice them. They who know me are few, and I am on that account the one to be prized. So, from now on, we should apply for the visa to the kingdom of the new life circle. It is very easy to apply for this visa. Reverence to the greatest creator, reverence to life, and reverence to nature, and following to the greatest creator's Tao. There are few people traveling on the path of life, just like the revelation shown to sage-like type in the dream. A couple of people climbing up the Xiefeng mountain with great effort, and there isn't a busy scene to be found. If we look around and follow the steps of the common people, someday we will find that we are at the door of the hell. After the adjustment of the life in universe, human society will be a rational, peaceful, and humanistic era. It also will be an era needless of the great men and heroes, an era with harmonious nature and ample food and clothing, and an era without fighting and grabbing and mental disease. The greatest creator has given us free will, whether to go to the heaven or to go to the hell. That totally depends on your own choice. Satan and his evil spirits can only satisfy our desire on the material and flesh. They can't control us wholly. In the end, you have to take your own path. Since we have free will and the rights to choose our path, we should open up new ways forward to the rational, peaceful, and humanistic era. Create an environment for open dialogues. Xiefeng. October 29, 2009. Wherever there is sunshine, there is brightness. Valuable lands are with good geomantic omens, mild climate, and thriving plants. Life immersed in exultant happiness with spiritual radiance of the greatest creator doesn't know what is suppression. Jesus Christ's place doesn't have oppression, exploitation, and deception. Buddha Sakyamuni's place is full of kind, merciful, and docile people. Celestial Lao Tzu's place is well organized and full of vigor. The founder of Islam's place has no fervor that borders on idolatry, but only the greatest creator. Chanyuan celestials are the ripe crop of beautiful souls, and Lifechanyuan is a place privileged by the greatest creator. Home without marriage and family and paradise are places favored and cared by Jesus Christ, Buddha, celestial, prophet. Creating an environment for open dialogues is not only the will and teaching of the greatest creator and tutors of Lifechanyuan, but also the hope of all humankind. The relationship of Chanyuan celestials is the one between brothers, sisters, and lovers. Brothers, sisters, and lovers should take care of each other and convey thoughts at their ease. Each Chanyuan celestial is cherished by Spirit Guide, who wishes each one of Chanyuan celestials is able to communicate and live a happy, cheerful, free, joyful life in the cozy and warm environment. Where there is oppression, there is misery and resistance. Might prevails in places without justice, inequality and grade differential prevails in places without open dialogues, discrimination and indecency must exist in places where some people dare not talk openly. In a word, when we create an environment which everyone is able to convey their thoughts freely, we definitely follow the greatest creator's will and celestial's teaching, and we can be called as great self-improved self-refiner, and be named as Chanyuan Celestial. As long as an environment for open dialogues have been created, one is qualified for guiding humankind and is able to save humankind from the abyss of misery, thus ushers humankind into the Lifechanyuan era. As long as an environment for open dialogues have been created, all the false, the evil, and the ugly might be eliminated thoroughly, schemers and careerists can't exist, covert ghosts find no hiding places. In this way, every Chanyuan Celestial is ensured to enjoy happy, merry, free life. How to create an environment for open dialogues. Following the greatest creator's Tao. We only follow the greatest creator's Tao. The belief of sages only accept one in his whole life might effectively eliminate disputes and conflicts caused by different beliefs. Only the same resonance in belief can lay the foundation for the environment for open dialogues. Adhering to 800 values for new era human being. Under the circumstances of being without legislation, laws, regulations, provisions, and commandments, adhering to 800 values for new era human being is the only way to protect people's rights and interests. The so-called open dialogues which don't adhere to 800 values for new era human being would surely turn into endless disputes and arguments. Implementing holographic order management. Holographic order management is not to govern. Everyone is master, everyone is servant. There is just division of labor, and not to mention the relationship between superior and inferior. Everyone tries to exert qualities of truth, goodness, beauty, love, trust, and honesty to perfection. Everyone just mind their own business, doesn't bother others, and gets involved into others' business. Everyone is responsible for the greatest creator and himself or herself. Do not offer help unless asked for. Willingly help those who seek for help. Be responsible for their own suggestions. Everyone build the sacred cord upon his or her conscience, and be the judge of oneself. Adhering to a spirit guide policy in mind and soul. Chanyuan Celestials don't have to instruct and teach interactively. Everyone can convey heartfelt feelings and thoughts. However, people are not allowed to instruct others in a superior manner or to belittle others' IQ. People have to know that the stupidest person is oneself. Working and living be arranged by the president. The president in turn would solve them accordingly. Advocating rebellious spirit. No one can affiliate spiritual, mental, physical harm to others. Once bearing grudge, people have to speak out and revolt. Complaints and suppression are unbearable. Tolerance sometimes is painful. In Lifechanyuan, people never tolerate. We should not make Chanyuan Celestial, who are our brothers, sisters, relatives, and lovers, to be painful. Never delete Chanyuan Celestial's articles and posts. As long as you are Chanyuan Celestial, you can talk and express whatever you want on the website of Lifechanyuan. No one is allowed to delete at ease the heartfelt feelings of brothers, sisters, and lovers, even though those feelings are ridiculous, absurd, naive, or rebellious. Be cautious of arbitrariness on merits. Chanyuan Celestials make contributions for humankind through constructing Lifechanyuan. This is their way of paying back for the evil they did in the past lives and accumulating wealth in heaven. To humankind and other Chanyuan Celestials, what they do can't be called good deeds. We should resist superior, arrogant remarks and acts. Thus, other than instigating and overbearing, doing good deeds can merely be used to refine oneself. In short, we have to create an environment which has unified will and delighted heart, harmony and order with open dialogues, personality and talent. Characteristics which maintain common characters of Lifechanyuan and keep personality at the same time, and an environment which makes each Chanyuan Celestial feel ease, happy, free, joyful. 18 Details of Caring for the Elderly in the New Oasis for Life. Siefeng, April 9, 2020. We must completely end the problem of people spending their final years lonely and in misery, which has been the case since the beginning of human history. In the New Oasis for Life, We must allow elderly people to live a carefree and picturesque fairy life, and let them always be in the company of middle-aged and young people, and even children, so that they can fully enjoy the beauty of old age life. Below are 18 details of caring for the elderly in the new oasis for life. The best rooms are reserved for the elderly. The best food is reserved for the elderly. Specially trained people care for the elderly. Every night, one person is tasked with saying good night to the elderly. Every morning, someone sees that the elderly has all woken up and helps them to wash themselves and eat their breakfasts. People ask how the elderly people feel every day and whether they need anything so as to meet their needs to the maximum. Someone assists the elderly to take baths, being careful that they do not slip or fall. People hold the arms of those with mobility issues. The elderly's rooms are kept clean, tidy, and airy. Bed sheets, quilt covers, and pillowcases used by the elderly are changed and washed at least once every 3 days. Clothes worn by the elderly are changed and washed at least once every 3 days. Help is given to scrub the elderly's bodies and wash their hair if they cannot wash themselves. The most comfortable seats are positioned in the best places for the elderly during entertainment parties. Clean, boiled water is available at all times in the elderly's rooms, so they can drink it at any time. Food is delivered to the elderly if they are unable to walk to the canteen. The elderly is accompanied often to walk around in the courtyards and fields, and to chat with them to eliminate their loneliness. Roads over which the elderly often pass are smooth to avoid tripping. Fun activities are organized for the elderly to participate in and keep them happy. According to Chanyuan values and the more than 10 years of practice of the new oasis for life, our goal is that every Chanyuan celestial should be able to live to 120 years of age. In the new oasis for life, the definition of elderly is anyone who is at least 80 years young. Then they can start enjoying this kind of treatment. Actually, some of our elderly people are more than 80 years young, but continue to do physical work every day, while many over 70 years are still working as energetically as much younger people. Therefore, in the new oasis for life, members in their 60s and 70s are called middle-aged, and anyone under 60 is considered a young person. Every Chanyuan celestial who reaches the age of 120 years is encouraged to leave the mortal world immediately without nostalgia for it. We send the elderly people to the 1,000-year world, the 10,000-year world, or the Elysium Celestial Islands continent through the method of being free from the mortal body in meditation. Enjoys 8 happy fortunes of Chanyuan celestials. Xiefeng. Translated by Transin and edited by Kair. September 6, 2008. Chanyuan celestials enjoy these 8 extraordinarily wonderful fortunes. Chanyuan celestials connect themselves to the greatest creator and are linked to the source of life, and therefore walk on the way of the greatest creator. It is in this manner that they maintain the direction toward their goal of life through all circumstances. Life is no longer trapped in transmigrations between lower levels of space, and they will always have blessings and enlightenment from the greatest creator, and will thusly have splendid futures. Chanyuan celestials can go to the celestial island continent of Elysium world to become super celestial beings. Located in the back garden of the greatest creator, the celestial island continent of Elysium world is the freest and most marvelous place in the universe, which is only provided to Chanyuan celestials and an extremely small number of people who can otherwise gain access to it. This is one of the greatest distinct happinesses for Chanyuan celestials. Chanyuan celestials have clear goals of life and life. For a life, the most important things are to obtain joy, happiness, freedom, and blessing. For a life, the most important things are to go to the 1,000-year world, the 10,000-year world, and finally reach the celestial island continent of the Elysium world. This simple outlook on life and life is only intelligible to Chanyuan celestials. The masters for Chanyuan celestials are Jesus Christ, Buddha Shakyamuni, Celestial Lao Tzu, and the Prophet Muhammad, PBUH. There is a guide specially responsible for instruction, who can organically integrate the teachings of these masters, reveal the mystery of time and space and life, and guide Chanyuan celestials accurately to the heavenly kingdom. This is a happiness that no one except a Chanyuan celestial can ever dream of. Chanyuan celestials all have visas of life to go to the heavenly kingdom, which are open to all Chanyuan celestials. When Chanyuan celestials depart from the human world, They will go directly to the 1,000-year world, the 10,000-year world, or the celestial island continent of Elysium world. This gate is only accessible to those with Chanyuan celestial virtues. Chanyuan celestials have many close, special, and supportive friends who understand, admire, and support each other, and share the same resonance from their hearts through self-cultivation and self-refinery in Lifechanyuan. They are the most valuable wealth in life and are compatible with each other and know and care for each other. Thus, Chanyuan celestials are never lonely, will always have a way out, and have a broad road in life. Chanyuan celestials know the most advanced way of self-refinery and can thusly achieve the most advanced self-cultivation within the shortest time. By participating in the initiation of the Lifechanyuan era for mankind, Chanyuan celestials are conducting unconditional giving, are accumulating the greatest merits and virtues, and have stored rich wealth in the heavenly kingdom so they can pay back their debts over different generations of life and have their sins cleared, thus perfecting the non-material structure of their life within a short period of time. This is an ability that could not have not been achieved even through many hundreds or even thousands of lives of self-cultivation and self-refinery. All Chanyuan celestials have the second home, now new oasis for life, which relieves them from worries over food, clothing, shelter, transportation, living, old age, and death, provides them with the best venue for self-refinery, and guarantees them a life in a fairyland. Chanyuan celestials can achieve level 4 and level 5 meditation in the collective energy field within the shortest possible time without overreaching themselves. They can achieve the 64 theurgies, invoking the supernatural powers of gods, needed by super celestial beings. The good fortunes of Chanyuan celestials are not accessible to 98% of people, therefore they are incredibly fortunate. Establish global government. Lifechanyuan Era 7. Dayform Buddha. November 5, 2006. Everything has a core, aggregate of atoms, molecules, solar system, and the universe. Everything is a system, human body, the natural ecology of the Earth, solar system, and galaxy. Anything without a core is disorganized, conflicting, paradoxical, temporary, and short-lived. Anything without a system in the status of disorder, contradictory, pains, sadness, morbidity, defective, and will be difficult to last for a long time. Take a man, for example. Without the coordination of brain, his hands, feet, and mouth will act in their own way, and the result is bound to be good for nothing. The patient falls ill because his own system is out of balance and different organs cannot work harmoniously. The healthy is healthy because all organs of him work harmoniously. And nothing can escape from this law, whether it is a person, a family, a community, a company, or even a country. Undoubtedly, we have to establish a center, a system, namely a global government, so as to guarantee that all people around the world can live a peaceful, calm, harmonious, and happy life. The current human beings are sick. Various countries act as they think, just like hands, feet, and mouth go their own way without the control of brain. Its consequences are bound to lead to conflicts and contradictions, cutthroat competition among different regions, destruction of natural resources, huge squander of manpower and material resources, various crises faced by human. At last, everyone will fall into misfortune. Whether human beings can survive continually depends on whether a global government can be established as soon as possible. Human beings are bound to enter Lifechanyuan era and are bound to have a global government to arrange and coordinate all the production and activities of all mankind. This is an inevitable trend and reality which cannot be changed by the will of anyone, any organizations, or any countries. The main functions of the global government are as follows. Formulate the unified production and living bills for mankind, and also supervise the bill implementation of all regions. The currency in all regions should be same. The national boundaries should be removed and all armies should be dismissed. Administration staffs can be transferred globally. For example, Blair can be appointed as the Commissioner of North America. Bush can be appointed as the Commissioner of Arab region. Shinzo Abe can be appointed as the Commissioner of Southern Africa. Becky can be appointed as Commissioner of Australia region. Establish a global intelligence bank, centrally allocate the scientists and other specialists. Set up global personnel database. resources explored and utilized globally, the public order taken charge by global policemen, and the teachers in universities allocated in the world scope, etc. Everyone will be guaranteed to have work to do, have food to eat, have clothes to dress, and have house to live in. The difference among various regions and nationalities should be gradually narrowed so as to realize the common prosperity for all human beings. The values of Lifechanyuan should be implemented. Are above imagination's nonsense, impracticable illusion, or daydreaming. No. Hands, feet, and mouth are controlled by brain, and consciousness determines the reality. Human beings' consciousness determines production and lifestyle. As long as all people think in this way, this sublime ideal is bound to realize. Who would think in this way? All the people who revere the greatest creator, life and nature, and follow the words of the greatest creator would think this way. All the people who are loving, compassionate, mentally and physically healthy, love peace, and yearn for freedom and happiness, and try to climb towards the peak of life would think this way. People used to think it was impossible for a group to come into being and survive without families, political parties, religions, and countries, and they thought it was unimaginable, and it only might appear in the remote future. However, the fact is that such a group has come into being and existed, and it is Lifechanyuan. Lifechanyuan is the epitome of future human beings' life and the seed of the future society, and with more and more sages and wise men around world continually enter Lifechanyuan, the ideal era dreamed by all mankind will come. And the global government will also be established. Heaven which by it is bright and pure. Earth rendered thereby firm and sure. Spirits with powers by it supplied. Valleys kept full throughout their void. All creatures which through it do live. Princes and kings who from it get. The model which to all they give. This one is the greatest creator. All things leave behind them the obscurity, out of which they have come, and go forward to embrace the brightness, into which they have emerged, while they are harmonized by the breath of vacancy. This obscurity is Lifechanyuan, and this brightness is the global government. Human beings can enter the ideal society only when there is the greatest creator, Lifechanyuan, and global government. Lifechanyuan era. All humans stand together regardless of situation. All people around world are brothers, sisters, relatives, and lovers. Joy and happiness, every minute. Peace and harmony, everywhere. Face reality and escape from the traditional marriage and family. Xiefeng. August 2nd, 2009. Traditional marriage and family is a program of life that has been contacted with viruses, which can erode the sincerity, kindness, virtue, love, faith, and honesty in human character and drive us from an originally joyful, happy, free, and blessed life toward the abyss of misery, anxiety, enslavement, and desperation. If we take a look at the history of mankind and the reality that we are in, and observe the status quo of marriage and family in the neighborhood, we can easily find that traditional marriage and family is the prison of human nature and the stumbling blocks that hinders man's march toward a beautiful, free, and happy life. Face reality and no longer cheat yourself. Distress will not disappear simply because you do not pay attention to it, and the maltreatment and torture of spirit and soul that you have sustained will not be relieved as a result of endurance. It is the most foolish illusion to place your own future and happiness in the hand of a certain person or several people. It is the most insane and wishful thinking to rely on marriage and family for a joyful, happy, free, and blessed life. We cannot blame any person, the parents, the husband or wife, or even less so, children, sisters, brothers, relatives, friends, or neighbors for the misfortunes and tragedies incurred by the traditional marriage and family. What is at fault is the program of family. Humankind has been trapped in this program for thousands of years. The sea of tribulations is endless, but you can find the shore if you choose to pull yourself back. It is high time that we escape the life pattern of marriage and family and entered the new way of life. It is time to start a new life. We should not repeat the tragedies in history. Lifechanyuan has designed the new way of life for every member of mankind, which has been proved to be feasible in practice. You can obtain relevant information at the website of the Second Home, now new oasis for life. http://www.the2indiehome.org English. http://www.d2jiayuan.com Chinese. I will write an article about the new way of life of the second home, now new oasis for life. Please pay attention. How can we escape from traditional marriage and family and enter the new life in the second home? Those who are not married yet can refrain from getting marriage. Those who are divorced do not think of getting married for a second time. Those who have got married do not seek divorce, but try to ensure that both husband and wife enter the new life in the second home. Escaping from the family does not mean escaping from your close relatives or giving up on your parents and children or abandoning your obligations and responsibilities. Instead, escaping from the family means escaping from the traditional program of life and entering the new program of life. Anyone who has old parents to look after should show their filial piety to parents and arrange properly their parents' food, clothing, shelter, and transportation. Those who ignore their parents are not entitled to enter the second home. Those who have young children to bring up should perform their duty to raise the children. They should not incur any mental harm to the children that have not come of age. They shouldn't reduce, but strengthen their care and love for their children. Those who want to escape from the traditional marriage and family should first clearly understand the malpractices of the traditional marriage and family and the misery and affliction it has caused to humankind and understand the new way of life designed by Lifechanyuan. Then they must learn and build new outlook on life, value, life, and the world. In addition, they shall strive to become Chanyuan celestials in Lifechanyuan through self-cultivation and self-refinement. And finally, they shall finish the relations with the human world and establish connection with celestial beings and enter the brand new life of the second home. Lifechanyuan is to create 256 units of the second home. The inevitable trend of the development of human society is the unification of all methods into one general principle, and the unification of all religions and thoughts into one uniform value, and the unification of all the world. No one can hope to achieve anything if he or she gets stuck in conventions and old conservative ways. It is no longer a distant dream to make every member to have a joyful, happy, free, and blessed life, and that goal has already been partially achieved and is being gradually consolidated and perfected. Lifechanyuan has already formed a theoretical system of nearly 3 million characters and has summed up the lessons and experience from the failed attempts of utopian society, collective farm, communist community, Israel's kibbutz communist society, and Japan's socialist villages. Thus, what Lifechanyuan practices is no longer blind and impractical castle in the air or empty talk, but is a strategic goal for all the mankind based both theoretically and practically on the comprehensive and conscientious planning. Let's give up the impractical illusion that has been embraced for thousands of years, face the real situation of life, work hard and forge ahead, so as to finish the earthly relations as soon as possible and enter the new life in the second home. Family will gradually disappear. On Lifechanyuan Era 5. Dayform Buddha. October 2nd, 2006. Preface. Whether something is perfect or not depends on its structural feature. Whether someone is handsome or beautiful depends on her life structure. If there is defect in its structure, the thing is bound to present morbidity. The person is bound to be ugly. We can know whether a man is sick by testing a cell of his body. Family is the cell in constituting the human society structure. We should have no way but think the family is carried with the congenital virus if the current human society is unsatisfactory. Divorce rate is continually rising. A report of Chinese Academy of Social Sciences pointed out that the divorce rate of Beijing in 2002 was 50.9%, with 76,136 pairs got married and 38,756 pairs divorced. In recent years, the divorce rate of U.S. always kept above 50%. The Western Europe countries all kept about 40%. Republic of Korea, Japan, Hong Kong, and Taiwan all kept about 40%. Thailand was 60%. Then, how about the divorce rate of India? In the Bangalore, the Silicon Valley of India, Dutta, a female software engineer,